Welcome to the Unnamed Destiny podcast. I'm your host, Andal, and with me is
Cruz.
ah.
Hello.
What are we drinking today, Cruz? What are you drinking?
Well, I was going to have some nice premium, I don't know if it's premium, Mexican beer, Modelo Especial. However, I forgot it. And
Nice.
so I am now having from the Southern Tier Brewing Company, a salted caramel imperial ale.
Oh, sounds pretty good.
Mhm. With pink Himalayan sea salt and natural caramel flavor. It's pretty good.
Because this is a celebration, because not only is this the first podcast we're recording, this was also the last day of my garbage job.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Like you're done after?
I'm done after today. I don't have to go back.
Nice. How do you feel?
Feels great. So I am celebrating with my favorite drink, a White Russian. Before we start even further, you playing anything besides Destiny, Cruz?
Well, the newest set of Magic just came out, Magic the Gathering. So I've been playing Arena. I just started. I'm a little bit behind because it launched a week or two ago, I think, maybe even further.
Yeah.
But I like the set. It's pretty cool. It's like about Vikings.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, it's pretty
told
cool.
me Red has a counter spell for some reason now.
Oh my god. Yes, it's ridiculous.
I'm still playing Blood in my off time. I've switched it up a little bit every now and again. Played some Doom original, Doom 1 and 2. I've been playing those a lot. I've been playing boomer shooters basically in my off time. Very easy to pick up, easy to put down. It's great. All right, now to the point of why we're all here. Talk about the new season. The season of the chosen, or season of no, or season of indeed, whichever you prefer. So the narrative this season is that Empress Keitel has arrived in the Sol system. When a proposed alliance between her and the Vanguard falls through, it is up to us to stop the remaining Red Legion from joining her council. What did you think about that opening cutscene?
Oh gosh, I skipped it the other time. I only watched it once.
I only watched it once.
From what I remember, it was pretty sweet. It was a nice intro.
It was a good intro. I don't know why Saladin was there initially. It felt unnecessary. I guess it was just to introduce us to the fact that Saladin will be joining us.
Yeah, we've got a lot of his voice lines in the Battlegrounds events.
Yeah, my favorite one is when Crow asks him what he was doing during the Red War, and Saladin just goes silent.
He just doesn't say anything.
Just saying, straight up eviscerates Saladin there.
Oh well, then Crow responds. He responds something like,
"Must be a bad signal."
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's great. He's my new favorite character. I thought it was really good. It was really nice to see an enemy that wasn't trying to shoot us instantly the first time we see them.
Well,
so
yeah,
that was a good change of pace.
Any villain, in my opinion, any good villain isn't the type that's just like, I am evil, I will destroy you, I come conquer everything. I mean, even though
they can appear like that on the surface, right?
Yeah,
but I don't want to be like, yeah, I agree, and then be like repping Oryx the whole way, because Oryx was like that from the start until you read the books.
Yeah, and that doesn't make, if a villain is like that, it doesn't make them bad immediately. But I like when villains have like the ability to show restraint, respect, kind of like that, where
they have what we call depth.
Yeah, Keitel didn't immediately just go, "You didn't join me? I am offended. You are the worst," and then just like start a war right there.
I mean, she was offended. She was offended. But,
right.
She let them go.
Didn't outwardly like act on it, I guess.
And she keeps communicating with us. She had that cutscene with Osiris where they were talking back and forth.
Yeah. That was pretty good. I wasn't
really
expecting that.
I wasn't either. I was not expecting her to phone us in. Like,
yeah.
That was really out of the blue to me. I was really surprised that. I mean, because you can hear her. There's that little thing in the helm that you can click, and it'll like play her audio logs or whatever. Her like radio sessions to the Red Legion. But seeing her like physically there calling us was something else. I did not expect that at all.
Well, that's the thing, though. Keitel just called Osiris? We just happened to be standing there.
Yeah. Which is fantastic. Well, that's a lot of things in Destiny, right? So like, the Guardian just so happened to be there in the right time. But yeah, it's been incredibly interesting. Theory this might be slight spoilers because I know like when people toss theories around and they use like some very small evidence, I know I get really irritated in spoilery because I can't stop thinking about it. So semi spoilers if you don't want to listen to this. In the trailer, if you remember, there's a scene with Crow and Zavala talking to her. One thing, Crow doesn't have his mask on there, as far as I can remember. Crow doesn't have his mask, so Zavala knows that he's Aldrin Soph, or at least was. And the line she says in the trailer is that she'll sharpen her gilded blade and see us on the battlefield. We've already heard that line. That was in the intro cutscene to the season. She's already said that line. So whatever she says there is completely different.
That is true.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, after we basically kill the Red Legion for the 500th time or whatever, a new alliance will be made. But it won't be like we join the Cabal, right? It would just be like, you know what? We don't shoot you and you don't shoot us. Fair point. I feel like that's going to happen. And we might fight alongside her and her Cabal come Lightfall. Or maybe even Witch Queen. Because she does have a thing against the Hive, and Savathun's coming next expansion.
Yeah. I like the idea that at the end of this, we've kind of like taken out her champions and so forth in the battlegrounds.
Well, they're not her champions, right? It's the Red Legion trying to prove themselves to her.
But they're trying to become her like champions, she's part of her council, right?
Yes. But it's not her champion. It's specifically Red Legion right now. I think they've been trying to make that very specific because in the cutscene, you can see all of her units. I guess this is StarCraft now, but all of her council or whatever has different colors. They're all blue, which is very interesting. Which that's another thing I want to come back to when we talk about the exotics. But
yeah, I like the idea that at the end of all of this, it will kind of be like one of those moments where we look at each other and go, you're pretty tough. You're pretty tough. And we just kind of like nod and agree to work together. One of those kind of like...
Yeah, it's the... God, I can't remember his name, but in Bleach, if you remember that anime, Ichigo and Glasses, they hate each other for a long time, but they finally just agree to be like, we'll work together because we have a common enemy.
Yeah, just this not even much said, just silent, like, all right.
Or it's the end of Modern Warfare 2, right? Where Soaps, where Price is talking to Makarov and it's like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now with the fucking shepherd so I can kill him. Basically that. But yeah, I'm very interested to see where she goes. Her character's already intrigued me more than normal. Even though I already knew things about her, right? We already knew about the Midnight Coup. We already knew about her past, who she is. Callus is her father, which is hard to believe because she acts nothing like her father.
There's no way that Keitel ends up imprisoned or dead in some way or anything, right?
No, I don't think she ends up dead. Absolutely not. Like there is a potential. I think it's about 50-50 with the way Bungie's going with things. There's a 50-50 chance that she just either fucks off and goes somewhere else, or we have like a truce between us and between her and the Vanguard. Mm-hmm. But so far, it's been really interesting. I've been really interested to see where it goes, and that's shocking to me that these last two seasons. We didn't talk about the last season, but if you want the TLDR, Hawkmoon's good though. That's TLDR. It's shocking to me that the last two seasons, and even Beyond Light to an extent, have been able to capture me in the storytelling based entirely in game. Usually, it takes the lore to get to me, but the fact that the in game has been so good has been very good. I'm very good. Bungie's finally finding their stride in telling a story in the game as opposed to through lore tabs or outside the game. Mm-hmm. It's like they had It's like Joseph Staten never left. Missed that guy. He's working on Halo. He's working on Halo Infinite now, so that's going to be good. He's never delivered a bad story, in my opinion.
See,
that's sidetrack though. Overall, good start. Because of that narrative, that leads us to the seasonal activity, where we must prove ourselves in the Battlegrounds playlist as you defeat the Red Legion and stop the Rite of Proving. And it's good. It's good. It's not seasonal opulence good, but it's good.
Didn't play during that, but I do really like the Battlegrounds activity compared to last season, the Raceborn hunts.
Anything compared to last season is better. Although, we'll get on to that more in the next segment. But yeah, very surprised with how much better this is compared to hunts. Miles above. It's very clear that season. The more and more I go into the season, the more and more it feels like, Season of the Hunt fell behind on purpose so they could focus on other things. Like, there's so much about Season of the Hunt that just feels like it's halfway done.
Yeah, we just kind of like, well, we have this idea, but we don't fully flesh it out. Let's just kind of like put it out there. We have enough.
Yeah, it's like we have enough to like, here's new weapons. There you go. Here's a crappy way to earn them. Basically, it's like Hawkmoon's cool though, right, guys?
Hawkmoon is sweet, and the quest line for all of that was pretty cool. The Harbinger
that was really good. I will say that exotic quest did nail it, but like the rest of that season, bad. Other than the cutscenes, once again, narrative was fine. Narrative was great. Just the activity of Season of the Hunt, which this is now turning into a duo of Season of the Hunt. Final thoughts and Season of Chosen initial impressions.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine. It's fine to compare. I like the small mechanics of everything, even if it's just small mechanics. There's still mechanics. It mixes, and each battleground mixes it up. I mean, Nessus and Europa do have the generator thing, but Nessus starts a little differently. So I will give it that one.
How about that Thresher, though?
Oh my God! Whoever is that should be the final boss. That should be the person in Kato's War Council. I swear to God, that Nessus Thresher kills me every time we don't take it out immediately. That is now a priority target. The moment I load in that strike, I rocket it immediately.
Rocket it and grab that heavy.
Yeah, I am so done with that thing. The funny thing is, there's like 3 major yellow bars right underneath it too. They are not a threat to me.
Not with that Thresher, no.
Compared to this red bar Thresher, not a threat. Yeah, core activity is fun. Who'd have thought it? And even if it wasn't fun, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the loot, right? And I gotta say, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Frenzy is perhaps the best perk in the game right now, besides maybe Desperado, which we'll talk about that later. But like right now, I think Frenzy might be the best perk in the game, at least for PvE. I cannot think of a better perk right now.
It's just all around good.
It's just like
it feels good on a weapon when you could have, I don't know, it's a combination of like what, 2, 3 perks kind of.
So it gives you handling, reload, and damage. So it's basically quick draw, feeding frenzy, and rampage at max stacks all rolled into one. I don't know how much damage kill clip does. I know rampage is like 33% at max stacks, and I know frenzy gives it 30.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so good. It's so good. I thought One for All was going to be the best perk in the game because it's like not only is it easy to proc, but it's just like it does damage. But like Frenzy just seems way better.
Yeah, you don't even really have to do anything. You just have to be fighting things.
And it activates in your pocket. That's the other thing. Like I got a sniper with it like the first time. You know the sniper. I've been using it ever since I got it. I was like, Frenzy's cool, but if it doesn't proc well, if I have to have the weapon out, I don't think I like it. 10 seconds of holding whatever the hell, switching to the sniper, and I'm like, oh, Frenzy is procced and ready to go.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It would be, I think that is really what gets it. Because having to pull out a weapon and wait 10 seconds while in combat to get it, I don't think that it would be nearly as good.
No, absolutely not. But the fact that it's in pocket and it activates, insane. I know I had my complaints with it early on. I was like, I think it takes too long to activate. After playing around with it for so long, I'm like, yeah, no, there's a reason this takes so long. In fact, it might be too good. Because, like, you get overflow, and can you get overflow on the submachine gun? I believe you can. Yeah, you get overflow and frenzy. That thing just shreds. That thing will just kill a room.
Yeah.
So good. Like everything except for the linear fusion. Don't know why we got another one of those this season. We just got one last season. I don't need another one. The last one's not sunsetting for a year, Bungie. I do not want linear fusion, nor do I need one. Actually, we got 2 linears this season. Tarantula, was it Tarantula that came back? Something came back. Tarantula came back for whatever reason. And I believe is it the same? No, okay. No, Tarantula's an arc. But still, I don't want these. Unless you plan on buffing these. I don't want these. I think Battlegrounds is fun, definitely worth playing, even just for the loot alone. If this loot was attached to hunts, I would still get this loot. That's how good this loot is.
Yeah, everything feels great to fire. Not even talking about perks alone. Everything feels good to use.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. It just feels good, and like I can say that about every gun in this thus far. We haven't gotten Swarm yet, or I haven't gotten most of the Trials weapons. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, every gun that I've gotten, or the Iron Banner stuff that comes next week. But every gun that I've gotten thus far, that doesn't include playlist weapons, because once again we'll talk about that later. There's a lot of we'll talk about that later, but. Everything I've gotten thus far feels great. And I'll say that with Season of the Hunt weapons too. Everything in Season of the Hunt feels good to fire. Problem with Season of the Hunt is you had three archetypes of weapons that did not matter. You had a linear fusion, which nobody likes. You had a precision scout rifle, which I like scout rifles. I love scout rifles. I adore scout rifles. I use them all the time. I don't like precisions because they are just not good enough. They do not ride. They fire too slow to justify their damage, and they don't have enough damage to justify the slow rate of fire compared to everything else. And then you have a grenade launcher, which is good, right? It has chain reaction. That's great. It's have a grenade launcher, except it's got the same exact archetype as the one from Gambit. It's like, what the fuck? Although I haven't gotten many of crowd pleasers, but I've gotten more crowd pleasers than I have bottom dollars. I'll tell you that much.
I enjoy using linear fusions, but everything else is better.
They're okay. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
fun to use.
I'll pull them out for a meme in a quick session, a Vanguard Strike playlist, and a Crucible match. They have great hip fire, but like outside of that, it's just like they don't do anything.
Yeah,
I'm not clamoring to get a. Not only am I clamoring to get one from last season, I'm not clamoring to get two from this season.
It's not anything you really want to see when you get like a.
When you get a drop, you're just like, please don't ever speak to me or my son ever again. Luke Smith, you sheebies. No, I'm joking. But yeah, loot's good. Speaking of good loot and good activities, the exotic quest, which sends us to explore the Glykon, a ship left stranded by Emperor Callus himself at the edge of an anomaly where Mars was left by the darkness. Spoilers ahead for this. If you haven't played this, definitely play this first before coming here, because it is great to do blind. Do it blind, do it solo, find everything out on your own. We didn't do that for Cruz because I wanted them to get the rifle as soon as possible, because that's another thing. It's amazing. But the mission itself, also amazing. Nailed it. Knocked it out of the park. I am surprised. I'm surprised they were able to outdo Hawkmoon, honestly. I loved Hawkmoon.
This felt like, I've only done it once, but it felt like I was in a raid. Like, I felt like I was doing mechanics. Like, obviously just...
Well, yeah, there was light mechanics, which is crazy to think that we do light mechanics now.
It just reminded me so much of like doing the Leviathan and like going in the underbelly.
Oh yeah, it gave me very big underbelly vibes. Probably because they like reused assets from the Leviathan, but still. It's great. It did the same exact thing as Hawkmoon did that I praised Hawkmoon for. Zero hand holding. It did not tell you anything except here's a button, click it, go to the thing, figure it out.
Yep.
Absolutely love it. That's the thing I loved about Hawkmoon, is it gave you riddles to solve, which I will say some of them were kind of bullshit, like the Cosmodrome one, where you have to go to the area next to Shah Han. There's two areas with like, it's like broken concrete pillars and ships.
Yeah, that's the riddle. The ships and
there's two areas. Both are the fast travel spot that have exactly that. The only reason I knew to go to Shah Han is because I remember the D1 trailer from E3 2013 or 2012. I think it was 2012. That is the only reason I remember that, because there's a scene where Aldrin's original character, which was named Crow at the time, funny how things happen. There's a scene where he's standing on that pillar pointing the gun at our guardian and go, well, why is the city breathing down my neck? Your guardian goes, here, I'm just here to talk. Out here in the wild, this is how we talk. So like that's the only reason I knew exactly where that was, because I remembered the trailer. None of that this time around. There's none of that, hey, you remember the trailer? No, it was very easy to figure out. It wasn't easy to figure out, but eventually, like, you'll find it, right, on your own.
Yeah, if you just wander enough.
Yeah, if you just wander enough, you'll figure it out. You might not notice it because the person we queued up with just ran ahead. Sweeperbot is in there. Remember Sweeperbot? He's in the Glykon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's dead. They killed my boy. Yeah, it's either Sweeperbot or Warner, but still, they're both like Callus City frames. So like, still unbelievable. Can't believe they killed him.
Yeah.
Really good. The horror aspect was great. Being underleveled, we weren't underleveled, but I discovered later that it has contest on, even though it doesn't tell you. So it purposely caps your power out. Being underleveled and having no radar while walking through trying to figure things out, very good. It gave me like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, more like PT. Remember the PT the PT demo?
Yeah, I
It
do.
gave me PT vibes.
Yeah, that was creepy. I never actually played it, but I watched it.
Yeah,
Played it a million times.
I didn't play. I did also watch it because I was like, I'm not gonna download this just to play a thing. Boy, am I an idiot because I bet PT demo PS4 goes for a hot amount right now.
Really?
Yeah, because PT's not available to download anymore. Remember?
Oh, they took it off.
Yeah.
So then people who have it downloaded on their
Yeah, it was
console.
like the same thing happened with Flappy Bird. Remember when we were in high school and Flappy Bird got taken off the App Store?
Yeah,
People were selling their iPhones for like $500 because it had stupid ass Flappy Bird on it. A game archetype or whatever that's been around for ages. That's nothing new. But it was super good. Just well designed, very interesting to look at. Trash compactor, great touch.
I did like that.
That was great. I feel like Destiny has an affinity for both Marvel and Star Wars. In game, there's a lot of like I feel like Star Wars at times for both the first and second game. There's that Star Warsy vibe sometimes, which is straight up reference. But like out of the game, for whatever reason, Marvel memes work the best with Destiny. For whatever reason. Like every time I find one, well, also Star Wars memes, but like mostly Marvel, people always like find some scene from Marvel that's just like, yeah, that explains Destiny pretty well.
I'm not up on my meme game.
Yeah, I send you some occasionally.
Yes. Yeah. I do like the Kiadi Mundi one. That one.
The Kiadi Mundi one's great. The Titan helm ornament. And whatever the Awoken on the reef. Really good. Really. The final boss is cool. Really cool. Wish it wouldn't teleport all over the place for no reason. That would be great.
Oh, the fire dude.
Yeah. The Hangman ripoff. Like, I don't care about that. But like the mechanic where you have to turn off the fire, then go down and fight him is cool. If he would stop Goku instant transmissioning in front of me as I fire a rocket, that'd be super. But yeah, it was really interesting. It kind of a dick move on Bungie's part to once you get him to his health checkpoint to light the room up and have it start burning oh so fast, because that's really annoying in the first playthrough. Once you get to that point, you just cheese him at the edge, right? It doesn't become a tough boss fight as soon as you figure out there's a million little areas on the and your exits that you can just sit on and you can't touch you and you'll just sit there and take damage. Not so scary anymore. Not so tough. Mm-hmm. Still, good fight. And the ending is also really interesting because we got a kind of resolution to Season of Opulence with Callus having a shadow that is a guardian.
Yeah, I don't have much to input there because I never played Opulence.
You know what the shadows are, right? Because you played Leviathan. So all the armor had the lore of Callus's shadows that went to try and assassinate Gaul.
Yes, yeah.
Like the Fulminator. Fulminator's a shadow of Callus.
Shadow is essentially just his like minions, his assassins.
It's like a special council he has for like very select people.
Right, okay.
So we have a guardian that officially became a shadow, which is, I'm glad we finally got some. I say it's a resolution to Opulence because he mentions it a few times while you're playing the activity in Opulence. Also, the title for Season of Opulence is Shadow.
Oh.
Yeah, I wish I got that armor set. It was really cool looking, but I hate Crown of Sorrow. Speaking of Crown of Sorrow, they mentioned that a 100 times in this, don't they? Mention Golaron in the crown. So I feel like this. Yeah, I feel like this has something to do with the crown. I mean, when I say that, I mean like we're going back. We know that there's a heroic, and if 0 Hour, Whisper, and the Hawkmoon quest or anything to go by, the Master or whatever next version is next will be different. And I feel like that last area is another boss room because there's spawn doors in there.
You're talking about the higher level version of it?
Yeah, the next version that comes out in like probably a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to fight another boss there. Maybe the Guardian. That would be interesting.
Ooh.
Crown of Sorrow is definitely involved. Some people have said they see the Crown of Sorrow in that final room. I haven't been able to see it.
You're talking about the very final room?
Yeah. Unless it's like, unless people are like, I know clipped out, and there's a secret area that has the crown in it underneath it. In which case, that's probably like a teleport room. Then we'll teleport to that room because that's how Bungie likes to do their stuff. Like, do you remember the Infinite Forest?
Yeah.
You can see where people go when they go through the Infinite Forest.
Yeah, they're just like millions of miles away.
Really far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of things like that. Yeah, so apparently that, but it's definitely got Galaron vibes, and I feel like we're gonna deal with that when we get back. And at the end of the quest, you get a pretty cool gun.
I think
would you
that's
say?
a little bit of an understatement.
A little bit of an understatement. If Hawkmoon was good, this thing's amazing. Not in terms of like damage, but just raw feel of this thing. Feels amazing.
I don't know. I would say damage too. I think it
consistently. For majors. For majors in like a Nightfall, maybe I think I need to get 4th Time's a Charm before I like really start playing with this, because like this is the first time 4th Time's a Charm has appeared in a Primary, and I'm like, I want that because the amount of lay-in. But Hawkmoon's 7 times Paracausal does just so much damage.
Oh yeah, I mean the thing is, this is more consistent without having to land those.
Yeah, this is Hawkmoon is burst. This is consistency damage.
Because the thing is, if you miss that last Hawkmoon shot, then your damage just
because like you can nearly one shot. Like we were in the Hawkmoon quest, you can nearly one shot those unstoppable units in it.
Yeah,
it does damage, but like this just feels good. There's 0 recoil to the gun too, which is a surprise to me in multiple ways. One, because they nerfed recoil on PC this patch, which people say they can't feel, but I can definitely feel. But also because like just the fact that they would make a gun that has 0 recoil on both PC and console is ridiculous to me. Like I didn't think they'd do it. Mad Lads actually did it.
Well, I also really love about the gun that it reloads 2 at once.
It has dual loader intrinsically without the reload penalty.
So basically, you can land 5 precision shots, get up to the max stacks, and then reload like 4. I'm not sure exactly how many you can get before it disappears, but reload 4 to 6, and then keep shooting, and you still have max stacks. So it's like basically once you get to max stacks, if you have another target to hit, then you basically don't lose it, and it's so good. It's so good.
It's just been great. It's my new favorite weapon. And I was thinking about it today at work, and I was just like, I think it's my new favorite weapon. It just feels good. It's a scout rifle, which I'm a fanatic for. I'm a scout rifle enthusiast. I'm a connoisseur of scout rifles, if you will. And this came out, and I was just like, abso-fucking-lutely, I am ready to go. And it's just been crazy good. Like I just don't want to. I take it off because like in Nightfalls, Izanagi's has anti-barriers right now, and that shit melts.
Yeah, so I've been doing Deadman's and Palindrome. I've just been running 2.
Yeah. Well, that's what usually you have to do, right? You usually have to run 2 primaries. But now we have like the new sniper mod, and I'm just like, well, I feel no reason to take off a sniper now. Just talking about Sepiks. Like Sepiks felt great for a few reasons. We'll get to later, but like,
I'm really missing as the Nightfall right now.
Sepiks is a good one. But yeah, the scout rifle feels amazing. It has taken over Thorn as my favorite weapon. And if you know anything about me, Thorn has been my favorite weapon since the game came out for multiple reasons. A story we might get into later if anyone asks, if anyone cares. But it's a long story. Cruz, you've already heard it, so.
Yep.
These 3 things, the narrative, the activity, plus the loot, and the exotic quest, blew last season out of the water. Which is surprising, because I think the only bad thing about last season was the activity itself. I don't even consider the loot bad. Like that grenade launcher and the submachine gun, phenomenal. I love those things. But like the narrative of last season was good. Even if it felt disconnected from Beyond Light, it felt good. Hawkmoon and its quests were fantastic. Clearly the thing that got the most love. But everything not only seems to like hit well, but it hits harder. If this is a sign of where this series is going, if next season even has a decent fraction of the quality this season had, and that continues into the next season, like I completely understand. Plus, with the news that came today with Bungie expanding, I fully understand what Joe Blackburn said, where he sees that the future of Destiny is very bright. I fully understand. All right. Any final thoughts on any of those 3 topics?
Probably just to say that, I mean, we're only 2 weeks in. I mean, less than that.
2 weeks.
But it feels amazing. Feels great.
Feels great. Fantastic. All right. Now on to my favorite segment of the podcast that we will continue to do. Reoccurring topics. Reoccurring topic number 1 is, of course, everyone loves it. Nobody loves it. Sunsetting.
Mm-hmm.
How's it feeling? How's it feeling right now?
Well, I know you're probably missing Breachlight, right?
I am crying right now. I absolutely the new aggressive burst sidearm is cool and all. It is no replace for my demo Vorpal Breachlight.
I don't think it looks as good either.
It does. It definitely does not look like it looks like a PVC pipe with a handle. It does not look good. It does not feel. It feels good, but like it doesn't sound as good. It doesn't look as good. It doesn't have as good of rolls, in my opinion. Even though I'm going crazy about Frenzy and One for All, I still don't think it's as good. Yeah, it's Breachlight was my favorite legendary weapon when Season of Dawn hit. I couldn't tell you what my favorite legendary before that was. Probably maybe Kindled Orchid. I used that quite a bit. I really loved it. I have the curated Rampage kill clip roll of it still in my inventory. It's a 140 that 2 taps when you get a single kill. It's insane. But yeah, it's I'm missing Breachlight. I'm also missing Python, the shotgun that came with Season of Dawn, because that was just a good all-around shotgun. Aggressive frame shotgun came with Overflow and 1-2 punch. Really solid.
Yeah, for me,
for you, it doesn't affect you as much.
Yeah, because I played when the game first came out. I played all of like Red War era, and then I got Forsaken, and I played that.
Then you forgot to link your account.
Yes, so I basically lost everything because I started back up again like a week after they cut off the date, because of course that would happen. I would become reinterested when they take it away. Yeah. But I mean, it was kind of nice, like doing like a fresh start. Also, so sunsetting basically had no effect on me. I was getting all new loot and doing it. Yeah, although I still miss my bad auto rifle. What was it called? Origin Story. I still miss it just because I loved it.
Literally awful because it only has Rampage and it's precision.
I like precision, but that's beside.
I'm indifferent to any precision archetype that is not scout rifle. If it's a scout rifle, I hate it.
But yeah, so basically,
and I guess hand cannons.
So, I mean, I don't particularly care for it though. I see what it is doing in a way, but I can understand how everyone else is, if not upset by it, then just like, yeah.
I can go one way or the other. I ultimately don't care what Bungie's final decision is. Do I have strong opinions about sunsetting? Absolutely. Do I care what happens either way? Not really. I will continue to play the game regardless of what happens. I am more invested in the narrative of the story of this game franchise more than anything now. So like I'm mostly playing for the story, and like it is still fun for me to play. I still like getting stuff, even if it will go away in a year. I still like getting stuff.
Yeah, right. That's the thing, because I mean, at the very beginning, I talked about Magic. I play Magic.
Yeah.
And in Standard, every so often there's the rotation where the old sets go out, the new sets come in. It's always feeling fresh. Like there's always new cards and stuff you get.
Yes.
Thing is, when it comes to Destiny, I like the idea of it. However, it just feels bad when you spent so much time grinding for guns or specific rolls on guns, and then just for them to basically be essentially useless after that.
Yeah, it's not like Magic where it's just like, well, I want this card, so I'll spend 15 to buy this card, right?
Right.
You can just buy the card you need or want in Magic. I don't know if that's like that for the online version. I know, like, back when I lived next to a comic shop, like you could just go in and be like, yeah, I'm looking for a Planeswalker, Jace, or whatever. I haven't played Magic in a hot minute. Okay, I'm looking for a Jace Planeswalker. They'd be like, yeah, we got you, fam. Here we go. It's like $15.
Yep.
Yeah, but like,
done.
Destiny is not like that. And I'm glad you brought up Magic, because you know who else brought up Magic when explaining sunsetting?
No.
I don't know if he's former game director right now. The whole idea is still a little confusing, but game director Luke Smith brought up Magic when he talked about sunsetting. And I will go back to the point I said when he first said it. I don't hate that idea. The idea that there is standard content and legacy content really cool to me. Really like that. I'm fine. The problem is you need enough legacy content for that to work.
Yep.
What is legacy content right now? The old raids.
Nothing that anyone wants to do, really.
So here it is. Vanguard Strikes, which are I got 3 things done, I'm leaving now. Crucible, which is a hot mess. Most of the time, even regardless of whether or not stasis is being used in it, it's always been a hot mess. Old content, right? Old content. So you can use an old content like old raids, I guess. You can't use any new content though, so you can't even use it on Europa, just patrol, or even Cosmodrome in some locations. As far as I think some locations still like blast you. I am pretty sure they brought back those locations from D1, where specifically, do you remember where the old transmat zone was, where you load in zone, and there's that decrepit old like I don't even know what it's not really a building. It's like it leads down to the underground. And you go down there and you go in and there's a bunch of yellow bar hive in there.
I mean, vaguely.
Yeah. Or it's like there's that area, which I believe those are still like leveled enough to where they are question marks to new lights.
Yeah.
So you can't use sunset gear in there. And it's just like you have some legacy content, but you don't have enough for it to be okay.
Yeah. The thing with Magic is you can get those, you play the specific formats, right? And you're facing against the cards that are legal in that format. But here it feels just like they're going away for no reason, because there's nothing.
Well, it's not
like there's no secondary playlist that makes me want to do it. Like there's no incentive to do those things when you could just use the new gear, which I guess is what they're trying to do.
Yeah. So I remember specifically, well, Luke Smith also said, like, he's talking about people who are like, I'm only a breakneck user. I only use breakneck. It's like, well, how do we get them to use other things? It's like, you invent better things. But another point that's a more logical, reasonable point was weapons like Recluse or Mountaintop or Revoker. Weapons that are just, they're legendary weapons that are just, I'm going to say it, they're overpowered. You had Mountaintop, which was a breach-fed grenade launcher that had micro missile, which was before the recent Beyond Light nerf. It was 100% accurate in the air, and anywhere you hit anywhere near someone, instant kill. It's incredibly frustrating to go up against. You had Recluse, which had Master of Arms, which means any kill from any weapon gave it it was insane. I think it was like a 35% damage buff or something ridiculous. And it would just have that, and it wouldn't proc until you pulled it out. And that's when the timer would start going, and getting kills with Recluse would reproc the timer. And Recluse had Feeding Frenzy. And then you had Revoker, which was a sniper rifle that was specifically built for Crucible. It had a short zoom scope, and it was a aggressive frame sniper that had a perk that if you missed, it would eventually give you the bullet back. 100%. Not like Mulligan, where it's a random chance. It was 100%. It would give you bullet back, and that worked on Titan barricades too. These guns broke the game, and I think Bungie shot themselves in the foot when they brought them in. They lived forever. There's a problem with guns that live forever. These weren't the only meta class weapons, by the way. You still had things like Mindbenders, and you still had things like Spare Rations that were just the best, no matter what. Nothing outclassed them, ever. They were always going to be the best. And Gnawing Hunger would have been the best auto rifle, no matter what. Well, I understand the point for like sunsetting specific things, and sunsetting in general for a reason I'll get to in a little bit. I think they've gone overboard with it, and it is an overreaction to a problem they caused, which was back in Season 3, if you all remember, back when we had double primary meta. You remember that? Yes, they made Redrick's broadsword. Or was it Claymore? It was Was it broadsword or Claymore back then? I don't remember which one was which. But they made one of those, which was a pinnacle perk, which was a pinnacle weapon, right? So it had a pinnacle perk on it that was specific to that gun, and only that gun could roll it. Until like 2 weeks ago. And they kept keeping up this trend. Every season, each of the playlists had a new pinnacle weapon, which they ended in Shadowkeep, because not only did they not have 3 studios working on Destiny, but they also realized that they were blatantly overpowered, so they had to get rid of them. So they had to find a way to get rid of them, and sunsetting seemed to be the only option. Yeah, I don't mind sunsetting for like specific activities, right? Like I've said, if you've seen the video, if you've seen my video, you can skip what I'm about to say, because I'm just going to reiterate what I've already said. This will be the 3rd time I've said this. playing Iron Banner without Revoker, without Mountaintop, without Spare Rations, without Mindbenders, without Recluse was fantastic. I cannot overstate how much I love Iron Banner without these weapons in them. I fucking hate them. I am cursing on purpose to emphasize how much I hate these weapons. They are aggravating, they ruin the Crucible, and I'm glad they're gone from Iron Banner. Even things like Redrix. Things like Redrix and Revoker, if someone has that on in the enemy team and they're somewhat competent, they force you to either put them on or play at such a high level that is ridiculous. They control the outcome of the match. So yeah, I play Iron Banner and I'm like, wow, this feels amazing. I love this. And then Iron Banner went away and I was like, oh yeah, this sucks again. Because one, Crucible has to deal with with the most overpowered stuff of all time at all times. You're never getting away. So that's already a problem. But then I'm like, well, I kind of want to just use whatever in the raid. And I still kind of do that. I kind of just put on whatever I feel like at a moment's time. I'll be putting on the new scout rifle when we go do that again. Like,
oh yeah,
raids after a certain point, which goes along with my point. After a certain point, after like the second week, are nonsense. They don't matter. Like, you don't have to have like good gear on. Well, like power level wise, yes. Meta weapon wise, not at all. You can kind of trivialize most raids. Of course, I put like the meta specific encounter weapon because I also still want to get it done faster, but everything else is just whatever. So like in that regards, I don't see the point of sunsetting because most of the time I just want to use whatever. And I'll tell you, actually, this will be the fourth time I'm talking about sunsetting. I almost forgot the Sarah McLachlan commercial because I remembered filming that. I accidentally put 2 sunset weapons on my character at the same time while going through Europa, and a brig one-shot me in the middle of that recording from like 9 miles away. That's the thing. It's like I can't just like casually go around places or just casually do certain things and just have whatever on anymore. Like, I'm sad exit strategy's gone away. I love that submachine gun. I would like to use it just whatever. I can't use it in whatever because the only thing that it's actually viable in that would actually mean anything is the Vanguard Crucible, the Vanguard Strike playlist.
Yeah,
I don't care for that. Just like I feel like sunsetting is semi-necessary for specific things. I feel like if you're going to do the magic example specifically, you need to define what standard is and what legacy is. Anything that is standard has sunsetting in it. Anything that has legacy is not.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be more for the individuals who grinded out those weapons that took forever, make it feel like...
Oh, absolutely. Especially for things like Mountaintop. Like Mountaintop, Luna's, or Redrix. Those were really long, beefy quests. You remember the Redrix and Luna's quest, right?
I remember Luna's.
Well, yeah. You remember how many steps and how long it was, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Not to mention, Not Forgotten required you to get to 5,500 in the competitive playlist. Back when there was no matchmaking. Or there was matchmaking, but there was no solo queue. Excuse me.
There's a lot. And taking that away and only essentially, really only being able to do it in strikes. And Crucible, which,
you can technically do it in Gambit if you get off to getting one-tap Xenos from across the map by invaders. But other than that, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't know. There needs to be more for the sunsetting stuff because the sunsetting now essentially just means as soon as it's sunset, it's not used. Where I don't know that that's necessarily what the goal was, especially if it was compared to Magic. Where, I guess in Standard, if something rotates out, you can't use it in Standard anymore, but you can use it in the other formats. But the thing is, those formats have been around for a long time, so there are just, in case of Destiny, there are the God roll weapons, and in Magic, there are the, overpowered...
There's like mythic rares, right?
Yeah, things that are not even specifically mythic rares, but just, commons that are just overpowered for what they are.
Well, I was using mythic rares because of the rarity.
Right? Oh, yeah. There's not really that secondary format like there is. Like if something comes out of Standard in Magic, it can be used in other formats, but it's typically not going to be. And here you don't even really have that other format, let alone wanting to be able to use it. in something else. You know what I mean? I don't know. It feels weird because it's set up like kind of how Magic is, but you don't necessarily just grind for those cards. Like, yeah, you can open packs and like hope you get the card that you want, but it's much more efficient if you just like go to a LGS, for the few that actually exist now, and just buy the card. Or even online.
It's like the Deepstone Crypt final chest mechanic, right? You can gamble to get something from the chest, or you can just buy the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which that system needs to become more standard throughout all vendors in the game.
But yeah, so I mean, sunsetting isn't particularly bad, but it's not particularly good. I see what it's supposed to do and make it feel more fresh and have you use the new weapons, but it also just feels bad for the people that grinded for those weapons that took forever.
To play devil's advocate, I can see its merit. There is certainly a problem with weapons that live forever, with some just being too good. And while you could just nerf those specific things, pinnacles in particular were hard, which is why in my video I just refer to them as just make them banned weapons, which means they can only be used in like 4 playlists. I think it was actually 3, but I can see the merit in wanting to spice up things, and also sunsetting allows things to be strong and only temporary, semi. Crucible once again in Crucible and the Vanguard Strike playlist, they live forever in those. I don't think sunsetting should be used as as a reason to not nerf things, because some things need to be nerfed, and which is what's going to lead us to the next topic. But yeah, I can see the merit in certain activities having sunsetting. Things like the Grandmaster Nightfall, Trials of Osiris, Iron Banner to some extent, and the Day 1 raid. All these things share one thing in common, except for Iron Banner. Everyone who is participating in these playlists, within reason, should have non-sunset gear, and they are actively they play enough of the game to not only have the gear, but to engage with those activities. You don't see casual players getting up to go Day 1 raiding, right? Only 10% of people raid. Even smaller percent Day 1 raid. I know we had an anomaly with the Deepstone Crypt raid, but we are currently going through a pandemic, and it was also given 2 weeks before we were allowed to do the raid. So, people were ready to go this time, and it was on the weekend. This Deepstone Crypt raid was kind of an anomaly. Also, Lament released within 24 hours of the raid completing, which trivializes 8 tracks. Even still, after the nerfs, very specific playlists that I would consider the top 10 to 5% of players who play, which now I guess includes me, because I play Trials. I try to participate in the Day 1 raid when I can. I do like the Master and Grand. I don't do the Grandmaster one because that irritates me at times, but I will start doing that more. But like, I engage with these activities, and I don't mind their meta shifting year to year, or I guess season to season, technically, based entirely off of sunsetting. My problem is when everything else gets affected by it too. Man, I just want to walk around Europa with a mountaintop and like a Revoker or something, dude. Like, I just want to mess around on Europa every now and again. I don't want to like have to worry that a Brig is going to one-shot me for no apparent reason. One of the reasons for sunsetting was to get rid of those strong weapons, which leads us to our next point. Trials. They brought Desperado back. Those absolute fiends. Which, if you don't know what Desperado is, it is a perk that can be found on Redrix and now the Messenger, both high-impact rate of fire pulse rifles, that states when you get a headshot final blow, or I guess precision to be more gracious to the PvE side. When you get a precision final blow, reloading grants you the rapid fire frames fire rate, which is 540, I believe. Ooh. Yes, I'm correct. It is 540, which grants you a 540 rounds per minute fire rate while not decreasing your damage in PvP. It does in PvE, but you're also doubling your damage, your DPS anyway, so it doesn't matter. I certainly thought part of the reason sunsetting existed was to get rid of insanely strong weapons. Like people will argue with me. I will die on this hill. Redrix is a very strong weapon. All it takes is 2 bursts to get the kill. It's 2 bursts, all headshots to get the kill, or you stand in you get any damage buff, which is not hard to do anymore, especially since Stasis gives you a free damage buff on freezing people and has a heat-seeking missile that freezes people. Or you can send in a Power Rift, or you can send in a Sunspot, or you can do Inertia Override. There's a ton of ways, or you can use Bubble, or you can use Well. I think Hunter is the only one that does not, besides Stasis, that does not have a damage boosting. It doesn't have a damage boosting perk inside their light subclasses, but it does have a reload enhancing perk inside its, I believe it's top tree. Yeah, it's top tree Gunslinger. It works with Desperado anyways. But I thought part of the reason for sunsetting was to get rid of these strong perks. And I will say, I will die on this hill. Desperado is overpowered. It is way too strong. Now, do I think that's a bad thing? There's a difference between me knowing something's overpowered and me caring that something's overpowered. It's not like League of Legends. It's not like when Aatrox rework happened and that thing was busted for months after the fact. And it could just not balance that thing to like make it not broken. I still don't think Aatrox is properly balanced, but I think I haven't played League in a hot minute. But do I think that's a big problem? When it comes to Destiny, not really. It's overpowered, most certainly. I don't think it's a problem because Destiny is only irritating to me PvP-wise when the game doesn't function, which does happen more often than it should. Or people are cheating, which once again happens more often than it should, but we'll get to that later. So like having overpowered things in the Crucible is not the most aggravating thing. Like, yeah, Mountaintop, like I mentioned, or Mountaintop Revoker were aggravating. I think it's only aggravating when it's in something like Trials, which is supposed to be like high-end PvP.
Mm-hmm.
And which is funny that they added Desperado to Trials. It is irritating that this was the way it was. Going back, and I haven't played Trials in a hot minute. I do watch Trials every weekend. People will be like, "Oh, you don't play Trials, so why do you?" I do watch Trials every weekend. I do actively like keep up with Trials and everything. I do like. Let's just ignore that. I do keep up with Trials. I got a message from someone. I do keep up with Trials every weekend, so I know what's going on. I like playing Trial. I like playing Elimination. Let's say that. I like playing the 3v3 Elimination mode on the Crucible playlist, which is basically Trials. So, like, I keep up with that kind of stuff. So, like, I do care immensely about the health of Trials. But grinding out Messenger, I got 7 rolls on I got 7 Messengers. I didn't do terrible, right? And it's not like, oh, you could only get 7 Messengers. It's like, I quit after a while. I think I got the 3 wins twice. The other times were just bounties and just bounties, yeah. Well, I guess tokens. Bounties and tokens, but I got tokens from the bounties. And I didn't get any particularly bad rolls. I got an Outlaw once for all. That's really good. That's a great PvE roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got Outlaw kill clip and Moving Target kill clip. And I got about 3 Headseeker ones, which I didn't want at all. And I got a second Moving Target kill clip one, but I didn't care about that. But getting even 7 of those, which I still think is more than most people got that weekend.
It's more than me.
More than you. It's exactly 7 more than you. But even getting 7, like, I'm decent at PvP. I wasn't particularly doing well that weekend. Like, that was a weekend I worked, so I was getting home from a 12-hour shift, wanting to kill myself, but decided to pop up in Trials anyways, and then later wanted to kill myself because I played Trials. It is aggravating, to say the least, to play Trials right now. I like playing the Nightfall for a few reasons. One, you can visually see yourself improving every run.
Yeah.
Every completion. Even if I don't get a Palindrome, or Shadow Price, or next week, Swarm, I'm always getting something. I'm always getting upgrade materials, no matter what. Even if I'm not getting a drop I want, I'm always getting something. And that's what Trials is missing to me.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played Trials. Did I? I don't.
No, we never played Trials because Trials came out during House of Wolves, which is when I played the most.
I don't particularly have any strong urge to play it. I mean, I'm not a huge PvP person in general. I like the more of the PvE content.
Mm-hmm.
But things like those guns do make me want to do it, even though I will probably rip my hair out trying to do it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about having a weapon. I mean, that's the only gun that has that perk now, right?
It's the only gun that has Desperado. Well, Redrick still has it. You can buy that from the kiosk, but once again, it's sunset.
Yeah, the only one that can be used.
Mm-hmm. Unless you really grind out your seasonal artifact power, and then you can use it in whatever you want.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Desperado seems good, and it was interesting that was the first first week that Trials was available, that was the 3-win.
Oh, that was on purpose. That was
Yeah.
intentional.
Yeah.
Bungie's going to look at that and be like, see, Trials is fine. The numbers say so. That shit's going to dip this weekend.
Yeah, because what is it now? It's
I don't know. We find out tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
We find out tomorrow when in the mega thread someone turns in their 3-win bounty and goes, it's this gun. That's what happens every week. Every week, someone in the mega thread, 5 minutes in, was like, I turned in the 3-week bounty from last week. It's this gun.
Thanks.
You have to find whether or not like a specific percentage of players goes and plays Trials.
Yeah, I'm just yeah.
Well, let me say, what specifically about Trials do you not like? Besides that it's PvP.
I don't like that. Well, how do I put this?
You haven't played it yet, which we'll try and get you to play it because this is a reoccurring topic. I would like to talk about this out for podcast. So getting you to play Trials will give you the best experience to talk about Trials.
True. It seems like to me it's just whether or not it's like you spoke about like off of this, how people were just jumping off the map just to get the
Oh yeah, I eventually broke down on the last one. I just started jumping off the map because I just wanted to get that guard. Oh, I just want to get that bounty over and done with, and I wanted to go to sleep.
I don't know, that it just feels weird to me. Like, why do you want people to play Trials so bad? They're just gonna if this is just gonna happen. Like, even someone who just wants to play the game to enjoy it and like get weapons and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that weapon is obviously something people want, right? The Desperado.
Yeah, hell, I stepped in the Trials for the first time since Season of Worthy.
Yeah, to get it, and then it just ultimately devolves into you jumping off the map in the last one. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I was broken. I eventually broke because it's not fun to play. Card-based matchmaking is the worst. Occasionally it would go up against people of similar skill or lower skill. Similar skill was fun. All right, I will say similar skill was fun. Lower skill was like, this is good bot practice, I guess. Like I can make sure my wrist isn't about to snap in half because I have wrist problems now from the job I had. Hopefully that goes away soon.
I would probably sum it up by saying PvE content is specifically created to give a certain experience.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, stuff like, why am I blanking on the sword?
Lament?
Yeah, I couldn't think of the name. But stuff like Lament, like making Atrax basically, go super easy.
Or just completely burning Riven. Or just any weapon in general, like just completely skipping everything that is Riven.
Yeah, but in general speaking, giving like a specific experience that's meant to be played out in, in the way that it happens. PvP, like Trials, is not like that entirely. I mean, it kind of is because
you have a game mode, and that's about the only consistency you will have.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. You could have different teammates, or if you play with the same people, but the strategies of you and the enemy team, the weapons that are used, like all of that, it just feels, I don't know.
It's a lot more random. You are not fighting an AI. You are fighting an actual person that has free thought, and they will play differently no matter what. Every single person plays PvP differently.
I like the idea that someone can pick up the game and go into the raid eventually, once they reach the power cap, and engage with other people and go through the raid and get those weapons. Like, just if you just repeat it, like, I think the time aspect of it, being able to just grind out stuff and while you're simultaneously enjoying yourself, is the huge thing. Like, I enjoy doing the raid, like the mechanics, the puzzles, everything. It's fun, but having a gun that has Desperado on it, making you want to play Trials, but also simultaneously want to like die because you're playing like high level PvP, just doesn't feel good. I mean, for the people that enjoy high level PvP, that's great. That's awesome. Like,
I enjoy PvP. Yeah, I enjoy PvP. I am not a high level PvP player. I will tell you that. I'm not good enough at Destiny's movement to do that. I can I can semi skate in the game, but I'm not necessarily great at the game. I am better at things like Counter-Strike. I say things, I mean specifically Counter-Strike. Like I'm silver in Counter-Strike, but I'm still top fragging every game and while memeing. Every single game I have played of Counter-Strike, I get the weapons expert badge at the end, which means I had the most kills with the most unique weapons. I'm memeing in Counter-Strike when I play. The only reason I'm silver is because I got ranked when I never played Counter-Strike. I played like games before I played shooters. And now I played Overwatch at like a high level and went back to Counter-Strike. I'm like, well, now I know how to aim and I know how this game works. So now I can just meme around. So it's just like I used to play Overwatch at a high level too. So like I have some background in playing high level PvP. I just don't have Destiny levels of PvP. So if you go watch someone like Walla or Kamikakes, like they have their movement down. They know exactly how to do movement. I can aim pretty good most of the time. I got that down. Movement, not so much. At least I don't look like a bot. At least I don't bot walk, which is a good thing.
But yeah, it's like I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem. The people who want to play high level PvP, that's great. You get the gun, but I don't particularly like, particularly that this is now the only weapon that has that perk in the game that can be used in everything. That I'm not going to be happy. A piece of content that isn't necessarily going to be fun and or reliable for everyone to. And I think that having content be widely accessible is important. I think that having, cosmetic stuff for people who really want it in that high level PvP is great because it incentivizes them to want to do it. But
I will slightly disagree and say adept weapons should definitely be at the top. Once you go flawless, you should definitely be rewarded with an adept trial specific weapon, especially now that the Nightfall has adept weapons. Do adept weapons need to be better on both sides? Absolutely. They're kind of garbo right now. The only reason I'll be doing Grandmaster for the Adept is because I want materials that come with it. And I'll just so happen to get Adept weapons. I'm not doing a Grandmaster Nightfalls for Adepts.
Why not have it be that the Grandmaster Nightfall and Trials have the same weapons? Why can you not get the Desperado gun from doing high level,
because
PvE
because they're different playlists, right? They're different playlists. They're meant to be different playlists. They meant to have specific loot pools. Does Nightfall need a bigger loot pool? Eventually. Like I think more weapons should be introduced to the Nightfall next season, but I think 3 is fine right now. I would like to have Onslaught back. Someone mentioned that Shadow Price should have came with Onslaught. I agree with that, which Onslaught was, you don't know, but Onslaught was Breakneck's perk, which was an auto rifle that as you got stacks of Rampage, the fire rate would increase. So think like Discount Huckleberry.
Yeah.
Certain pinnacle perks returning for like these high-end end game activities, absolutely. Like, and I wouldn't be specifically for PvE stuff because PvE is a lot easier and a lot less gated. I wouldn't be upset with something like Onslaught or Magnura, I believe it was called, which was basically really good Dragonfly, or Explosive Light, which was a grenade launcher, which was a major grenade to do more damage after you picked up an Orb of Light. I would not be upset if those got gated to specifically adept weapons, since PvE content is very, like you said, it's designed specifically. And Nightfalls you can go through at your own pace. They're no longer timed, right? The only thing that matters is the amount of champions you kill.
Well, I'm going back to what I said before. Let me ask a question. Like, what is wrong with offering the similar, if not the same, weapons?
Similar, I can understand. The same, no.
Different. Why not?
Well, why would I do Iron Banner if I can just get those Iron Banner weapons in the regular Crucible or in the Vanguard Strike playlist?
Because in this way, people who just want to do it for the weapons are going to play the PvE content, or they're going to do the Grandmaster Nightfalls.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying.
Right, but this way, the people that want to do the high-level PvP and enjoy the high-level PvP are going to be the people that do it and go for it.
I think it's important I think it's important to have specific players have specific rewards geared towards them. Should Desperado be exclusively locked out to Trials? Probably not, honestly. Especially because we never know when we're going to see that gun in this season again. It might be this coming week. It might be right before the season end. We might never see Messenger in the rotation that's not flawless ever again. We don't know.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem with trials right now. Is not only is it not rewarding, where it's just like if I was getting something every time I was playing, I wouldn't have a problem. I would have kept playing all weekend because eventually I would be able to I would have stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get stuff every time I complete a Nightfall. I don't get anything when I lose a game in trials. I barely get anything when I win a game. I get a single token when I win a game. That means fuck all to me. And you know what the best part about that is? If I don't get enough to turn into Saint to get an engram from him, it goes away come Tuesday reset. All those tokens are taken away from you. You cannot hold those tokens. That is ridiculously stupid. And look, I will play Reddit advocate right now. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and I am absolutely furious that has stayed in the game for a year now.
I don't know. I'm still stuck on same if not similar guns being in both contents.
Similar, I can understand. The same, I can't. I cannot get behind the Messenger being in the PvE. I feel like it's important to have a set of guns in a set playlist. Now, should there be better ways to earn those guns for all players? Absolutely. I think everyone should have access to the base version of Messenger. Should high-level PvP players be allowed to get the adept version? Absolutely. They should be rewarded for their efforts.
That I'm okay with. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't necessarily see why that's a problem, because then it separates the people who want to do those specific things. I mean, Grandmaster Nightfall is still difficult. It's still something you have to work towards to be able to do, right? I still think
it's much more difficult. Oops, all champions exist in the Nightfall, so it's not a cakewalk. It's not it's pretty much not like everything before the Grandmaster. Everything before the Grandmaster is basically a cakewalk. I think 1330 is a little less of a cakewalk because famine is a thing. But other than that, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see why you're saying that, though. Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
As someone who enjoys PvP and dabbles into trials when it prompts me to, yeah, absolutely. People who play top level PvP deserve stuff. You know how hard it is to get good stuff, upgrade materials from PvP? It's almost impossible. You have to play trials and you have to go flawless. Yeah. And do they deserve that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it not? Is it enough? Absolutely not. To go flawless is insanely difficult. Even when the playlist is populated, it's insanely difficult to go flawless. And those people should be rewarded justly, which is why the new armor set, which if I have a hunch that it might be flawless exclusive, I don't care. I simply do not care. Armor to me right now is just cosmetic anyways. And while it looks amazing and I love the way it looks, I would be a hypocrite in saying that everyone should have it and it shouldn't just be something for flawless people, since I want them to have a reason to go flawless. And really good looking armor is certainly a reason to go flawless, especially if they keep the old armor still in the playlist. I don't know if it is, because we only got weapons in that one chest piece last week. We don't know if the old armor is still in the system. If it's not, then I will disagree with my statement here, but I do not have enough information currently to make that judgment call.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the regular version of the Messenger should be available in something else, right?
It is. Well, it is with trials, right? But the problem is it's attached to 3 wins, and it's not farmable unless you are really good at the game and you know how to abuse the card system.
Yeah, I get it.
The problem is there needs to be a way to go after these if you're not an amazing player. For example, I was talking with someone on Reddit. I was pitching out ideas. We were hashing it out. I would say hashing it out because it didn't start out too great, but it ended up being fine. It ended up being a fine conversation. That's surprising that it started really negative, but ended up being a good conversation that I think both of us learned from. But it's just why can't every match have a drop chance for a weapon? So every loss has let's say a 5% drop chance, right? You have, every time you lose a game, you have a 5% chance of getting a weapon, right? Or just a random piece of gear. Then wins 1, 2, 3, also 5% chance. Let's do the Nightfall system. Any loss or any win or wins 1 to 3 have a rare chance of dropping trials gear, random trials gear, right? Any gear that is not adept or flawless exclusive. Wins 4 to 5 are uncommon, all right? Mm-hmm. Then wins 6 and 7 are common. They just have a common chance of dropping. And then flawless, has the flawless reward. And then at wins 3, 5, and 7 and flawless, you have your set. These are the weapons for this rotation. These are the things you can go after.
Yeah.
But everything else has a random chance to drop a random piece of gear. But each week there is a set thing you can go after. And I believe in order, it should also be the engram or whatever shouldn't be the engram or whatever should be like specific to whatever that week is, right?
Yeah.
So whatever you've earned in that week too. I want to say that whatever you've earned in that week from the 3-5-7 or flawless 3-5 or 7, not flawless 3-5-7. Saints engram has one of those, so you can get 3 chances. Not only does it shrink your loot pool on that, so it's easier to farm those things, but it also lets people who aren't maybe as good at trials come in and they have a chance to get something. Also, maybe you get like maybe you up the token gains. So like anytime you lose, you get like maybe a token, and now wins give an extra token than they used to. Or maybe you up that in some way. So like even if you're bad at PvP, and like even if you're really bad, every time you lose, you still have not only a chance to get something you don't have, but you're also getting tokens, so you can eventually farm out, because the win 3 bounty is still there. So eventually you will get the win 3 reward, and you can then turn your tokens into Saint to farm that.
Yeah, I think there should be a less. I mean, this is not speaking from experience because I haven't played it, but to me it seems like it's for everyone else that's not, always excited for high level PvP, and that's what they play the game for the most part.
Yeah.
Everyone else
in this game that literally aims for you.
Everyone else doesn't want to necessarily do the high level PvP, but they want the weapons that are associated with it.
Yeah.
So making a way, still giving the people who want to do PvP, like going flawless, or maybe even just 7 wins, getting something special that the other players aren't necessarily going to get because they're not going to want to grind it that much. Do it.
Yeah. I also want to say, like, I didn't mention this because once again, I feel like I'm retreading old territory with videos I've made, but and I've already said in the past, this would also be like the flawless chest mechanic from the Deepstone Crypt is also in Saint's inventory, but it would cost like more tokens than it would to get a random engram. So it's like only things you've required, and it's like 40 tokens. It's double what it would cost to give to Saint. It'd be like 40 tokens to get a roll of a weapon you already have acquired.
Yeah, I like the idea of giving at least base weapons, like making it more accessible to every player.
Yeah, I think most people would agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I think all reasonable people would agree that everyone should have the ability to get the base weapons of Trials gear, because everyone should be encouraged to at least try the mode. I think Trials is my favorite PvP mode, period. 3v3 Elim, it goes back to my search and destroy days in Call of Duty. It is hyper focused. You play with a team. When you are playing with a team and you are focused and you're all in it, it's some of the most fun I have in gaming, which is why I love day 1 raids when I get to play them. When everyone's doing everything, you're all on the same page, and you're all, even if you're losing, but you're still playing as a team. I love that. I cannot understate how much I love Trials. And I only want to see what is good for the mode. Right now, I think a short-term solution is just to really up the token gains. Like 3 tokens for a loss, +5 for a win. I think that gets a lot of people in. I think that is a short-term solution. I don't think it's a very good one. I think there's multiple problems that Trials had. Card-based matchmaking is bullshit. It should be skill-based matchmaking. Trials is supposed to be sweaty. Trials right now is not sweaty. You know what Trials is? Trials is a stomp, one way or the other.
Yeah.
It would also be the only playlist in the game right now that would have skill-based matchmaking. People are asking for that right now on the subreddit. People are complaining that connection-based matchmaking is not good for them. They don't like it. So you give those people Trials, and they have skill-based matchmaking. So they're going up against people of similar skill level, right? And it will be sweaty because of that. There feels like a million ways to fix Trials, and it's been a year now, and we've heard nothing. And that's really, we didn't even know what new stuff was coming. We didn't know that. That just like a bunch of us just like, oh, here you go, new stuff. Now fuck off. That's basically how it feels. It feels like they just like slapped a thing in front of us and go, now quit your bitching.
Yeah.
Because like Trials needs help. It desperately needs help. And have I suggested the best things? Probably not. I've seen people who've made better suggestions, and I think their suggestions should be looked at more. But like I'm trying to help. I want this mode to be as good as it possibly can, because I truly love this mode. And right now it's struggling. It's on its deathbed. We had a resurgence last weekend. I don't think there's a single thing in the Trials loot pool that brings another resurgence like we had last weekend. I think tomorrow We filmed this on Thursday, but so Friday, the 19th, Trials is going to be just as dead as it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, none of the other weapons seem anywhere near as good to like go after to play it.
Yeah. Thing is, like, Kickstart on the Fusion seems really cool, but I don't want to play Trials for that. I don't want to play. I want to. The problem is, you're not just playing Trials; you are grinding Trials. That's the big problem. In order to get most of the weapons that you want, like Messenger is good with other perks, right? But no one went into Trials last weekend to get Messenger with Kill Clip or One for All. People were going in there to get Desperado, and in order to get that, you have to do one of two things. You either have to be insanely lucky, or you have to be really good and you have to grind Trials tokens. And that's a bad way to do this playlist, especially when Iron Banner exists and has already shown us the better way to do things. Iron Banner's bounties are just, they do them in the background. Trials bounties are get a kill with this archetype of weapon nobody is using on a map where it's not beneficial. Get ability. One of the last week's, I don't know if it's always like this. I haven't checked the bounties in a hot minute, but like last week's second weekly bounty was 100 ability kills in a 120 hand cannon meta. Are you kidding me? That's not happening. That's not happening. I think my hunter, who I played the most on, got to 50. And I got I got the 3 wins twice on that character. I got the 3 wins total last weekend. But it is aggravating. I think it's the barrier to entry for Trials is too hard right now. It needs to be opened up. Everyone should have access to Trials. Should the top 5 to 1% of players should be the only ones who have access to the Lighthouse? Yes, absolutely. That is a thing that they go after. Well, maybe not the Lighthouse specifically, but the rewards at the Lighthouse. Everyone should have the ability to access, which may include matchmaking. Like, why not? Why not have matchmaking in Trials? Maybe people just want to like play some Trials games, maybe get some tokens or whatever, maybe like grind out some bounties or whatever, but they don't have time to go to an LFG. They just want to like knock out 1 or 2 games on a card. So you have the matchmaking system, which doesn't have card-based matchmaking anymore, because that should be done away with. It has skill-based matchmaking. So each person that's in the team has a different amount of wins on their card. But after they play that game, they're broken up. They might never see each other again. So each time you queue into the matchmaking, you're in a different team with different wins on each person's card. I don't see why that's a bad thing. Are you going to win a lot? No. In fact, you might not win at all. But the idea is that you're getting people into the playlist and they're participating, even if only to just knock out a few games or just try. Because who knows? That little taste of Trials might be enough to get them to go on the LFG and play until they try to get flawless. Also, I'm still what?
Who knows? Maybe.
Who knows?
I mean, it seems like it.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm still a big proponent of, if you have a weapon and you have enough Trials tokens, once you get to the Lighthouse, you should be able to convert that weapon into a adept version of itself. I'm still a big proponent of that.
Yeah.
I do not have... Thorn has not been my favorite weapon in Destiny for so long for no reason. There was a story behind Thorn, which is why I've kept it in my favorites as my number 1 for so long. I have a story about Thorn. People have stories about their guns in D1. Imagine if you had a weapon where you had the God roll on a base version of a gun. Let's say you had Rapid Hit, a Desperado on your Messenger. And every week you play Trials. You play it over and over and over again. You just can't get to the Lighthouse. Then one weekend, after all weekend, you're on Monday, right before reset, you get to the Lighthouse. You go up to the Flawless chest, and you make that weapon an Adept. You earned that Adept weapon. You worked your ass off to get there. You earned not only an Adept weapon, but for it to be the weapon you used to get to the Lighthouse, not only have you earned that story would be incredible. And I guarantee people will have stories about their weapons again if you were allowed to do that. Guarantee it. Okay, so quickly, what's something that gets you into playing Trials? What's a what? They can do one change. What is it that gets you to play Trials?
Oh shoot. I would say a better implemented system like the raid tokens, where I can get the gear by earning the tokens, but you earn more tokens. So it's not such a grind fest. It gets people to play it, but it doesn't. It doesn't. What am I trying to say? Like it doesn't feel bad doing it.
Yeah, so you're always rewarded. So it's like the GM Nightfall. It's like my bit with Dream Nightfall. I'm always getting something when I do a Nightfall.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's the one thing that is I think that is a hot fix away. I think you just up the token gains. Will people be jumping off the map? You get a quick 9 tokens? Yeah, absolutely. Would people do that regardless of anything that happened? People are doing that now. Who cares? Nothing would change.
Yeah, that's probably it. I think that's
all
I
I'm saying. Spent a lot of time on Trials. I care a lot about Trials. Also, this is the first podcast, so it's probably going to be the longest one because we're also on all our feelings for these reoccurring stuff.
Yeah, everything.
Sandbox. How are you feeling about the sandbox right now?
Explain to me exactly.
So weapon ability balancing. I would say that the seasonal artifact also plays a role into the sandbox.
Yeah, I would say so.
I like to refer to it all as the sandbox, like Bungie does, because it's a lot more condensed than just saying everything I just said. Laying up to that. If I just say sandbox, it's just everything. It umbrellas everything.
Yeah, well, the one thing that you brought up was they brought down the level of swords, right? Or they
reduced their damage. Yes, this sandbox patch, they reduced the damage on all swords, not just Lament and Falling Guillotine, all swords by 15%.
And then they gave them things in the seasonal artifact.
Yeah, they gave them the Overload mod, which is a great mod, by the way, but like Lament can't run that. Lament already has anti-barriers. You can't double up on champion mods. What are you going to throw it on? Falling Guillotine? I'm not going to be using Falling Guillotine in high-level content, especially when Overload bow rounds exist. You kidding? Those are the best. And which brings me to a point. Overload on anything that's not a bow is garbage. Because it's just like, you have to empty half a mag or some ridiculous amount of bullets before the overload round gets loaded, and it's only one round, and you're trying to unload into an enemy that is teleporting all over the place. It doesn't feel good. Does that feel good to you? It doesn't feel good to me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel good. Like, whenever I need to do overload champions, I just brought Divinity, because Divinity instantly hits them. Instantly hits the overload. Why doesn't it all white? It should just be the first round in the magazine every time. Just like the way bows are. It's just like you're deliberately taking a shot. Overload champions can bite me whenever overload bow is not in the game.
Yeah, it should be more the mechanic of I've brought this specific weapon.
So you weren't around last year when champion mods were on our weapons instead of armor, which was bad because you couldn't use exotics, which is why I'm like giddy at the fact that there's anti-barrier snipers, because now I can use Tsunagis. Yeah, so like, I think there should be more exotics in the future made with that, because like Duality, Hawkmoon, Dead Man's Tale, and what was the one we got this season? What was it called? Tiku's Divination. Right? Hey, Tiku's, they don't have anti-champion mods on them. In fact, I don't think anything from Arrivals had anti-champion mods on them either. I don't think Worthy did either. I have to check back. I know Dawn did. Season of Dawn had unstoppable rounds on a sidearm. I do think more exotics need it, but like, I'm fine with season to season there being different things in the season pass. I just think the way overload mods specifically work is they are bad.
Wait, so you say that again? I'm sorry.
Which part?
What you just said, the last part.
Oh, overload and anything. So like bow I like because you draw it, right? And once you draw it, you now have to take a deliberate shot. And it doesn't just like go away once the perfect draw is gone. It stays around until you like release. Whereas overload on like any other weapon, you have to just unload until you get to the overload round. And then you gotta pray to God that as that bullet fires, the champion doesn't teleport away from your shot.
Yeah.
It's like that just feels bad. It's just like overload on any gun that is not a bow feels like crap.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I see what you're saying. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like, I don't have a problem with unstoppable rounds. I think they are deliberately interesting. Anti-barrier is so straightforward. It can't be bad. It's literally just keep shooting with the anti-barrier until the thing's dead.
Mm.
Unstoppable requires you to, wait a little bit, then peek out and shoot, which I think is good, especially since Unstoppables continuously rush you.
Yeah.
Overloads are just the mechanic behind proccing the perk with the thing it goes against doesn't make any sense to me. Because it is a thing that is constantly moving, and you basically have to just keep firing until you get to a point where the perk procs. It's not unlike the other two where it's the deliberate action you are doing. This feels very undeliberate and it feels almost random. Of course, there's a threshold in which it activates, but when you're firing a auto rifle or a submachine gun, it definitely doesn't feel like that, right? Because you have to lay on the trigger. You can't just like tap until you get to the point. You have to lay on the trigger until it loads. So it's just like if there was more deliberation in overload rounds, I'd be totally fine with them. I feel like overload champions are the only thing that are just poorly. That and the anti-barrier servitors. I say now using stasis and fully being able to lock them down without them ever proccing their stupid barrier.
Yeah.
Stasis is what?
Stasis is a thing. It is a thing.
Stasis is blatantly overpowered in both areas of the sandbox, and I hate it. Because while it's super fun to freeze things in both PvP and PvE, yes, I'm a scumbag, fight me. Well, I'll say getting frozen feels like shit.
Yeah, it takes away the slows and that just yeah.
We'll get to slows. I should have brought up the YouTube video. I think Fallout Plays might have done. I should have brought up the YouTube video, but I'll try and remember it off the top of my head what Dusk field grenades do, because it's ridiculous. But yeah, freezing in PvP feels garbage, except on the Warlock and what are they called? What are the heat-seeking missile ones called? I'll remember. Cold Snap. Cold Snaps. Yeah. I think those feel fine because it's like a half-second freeze. It is a quick CC, and in my opinion, like that's fine to me. But like every other freeze is a Morgana snare from League of Legends. It's like 4 goddamn seconds. And it's like you have a breakout button. It should just be a die button, because you're not gonna live.
Basically, it is.
You're not living.
The only way that it's not is if the person it gets taken out by someone else.
Yeah,
and maybe
and God forbid you get frozen in the air, because you can't break out of that. And God forbid even further that you get frozen in the air while you're moving over a ledge. That happened to us in one of our showdown games. I was rushing. I cold snapped the dude. I went to rush him. He peeked. He threw 2 shirt. He got out of it, of course, because it's a cold snap grenade. Because the only reason I was running that was to 2-tap people with the new scout. But he threw 2 shurikens around the corner. They bounced, hit me. I was in the middle of the air jumping over a ledge, and I just fell and died. While funny, it was kind of bullshit. Yeah, and in PvE content, it just kind of trivializes a lot of things. Like I just said, like barrier servitors can't teleport if they're frozen.
Yeah, it kind of breaks a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times now, so I think it is an actual mechanic. I think you can freeze barrier champions while they're in their barrier, and that stops them.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, which is bonkers.
That, or it's just like every time we've timed it.
It's just like a really easy. It's just like a really specific timing that we've just somehow gotten.
Well, maybe not even specific, but like it has to happen. Like,
well, I'm not saying it's frame perfect, but I'm like it might be like 5.5 seconds.
Yeah, something. I don't know.
It's like 30 frames.
It definitely feels like we've been able to freeze him in the barrier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's meant to happen or not, but it does.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen it enough time to be like, this is no longer a bug. This has got to be something else. This is a wacky bug if it is. Yeah, it's stasis is something else. Yeah, so I don't have it up, but if I remember off the top of my head, Dusk field grenades, not only do they move you, but they cut all mobility. So you jump like half a foot, maybe. Your movement speed is slowed, so it gives you a penalty to your mobility that includes movement speed, your jump. You cannot double jump. Hunters cannot dodge inside the Dusk field grenade, and you have a reduction to your accuracy and your rate of fire. And Dusk fields can also freeze you.
Holy crap! I did not even know that. I didn't know that you couldn't use your thing there, the hunter.
Yeah, you can top tree Dawn out of it. For some reason, that doesn't count as a mobility ability, even though it is. But yeah, you cannot hunter dodge out of it. I know that for a fact. But yeah, it also the fact that all slows, by the way, all slows reduce your accuracy and your rate of fire is ridiculous. You're already being punished by basically not moving. Why do you gotta like slap me in the face after you spit on me?
Yeah.
It's slows need a nerf.
Because the only thing you really, I mean, if you get in it, right, you have one of two options. You have shoot and try to defeat the enemy that threw it at you.
Yeah.
Or run and get out of it quickly, which,
Yeah. With both yeah. Both have a 90% chance of you go die.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're dead in pretty much both scenarios. So it's like slow is almost as bad as slow might be worse than freezing, because at least with freezing, I'm like, well, at least I know I'm gonna die. Slow is like, you got a chance, buddy. Of course, you can try. Go for it. Try.
Yeah, it taunts you.
It taunts you. It's awful. Yeah, it's not good. Also, Hunter got a buff this patch for some reason. Don't know why shurikens now do 90 base. I mean, I can kind of understand them getting rid of the crit value because I think that might have been messing with something, but like giving them 90 damage base is absurd. I'm a hunter main, and I'm saying this is bullshit. I use the exotic gauntlets that make my throwing knife become an aimbot knife, and I think the shuriken buff is absurd. Like, why 90? Like, I can maybe like get 75. It's like, oh, it's to compensate for the fact that you can no longer get crits. Like, I'm pretty sure 90 was the crit value. So why do the body shot value to 9? It doesn't make sense to me.
Don't know. Invisible shrug.
Yeah, just I can't tell you. Warlock got an accidental nerf this patch, with their melee not being able to one-shot red bar dregs anymore.
Yeah.
I know what that bug is because Titans have it sometimes. I don't know if it still happens, but Bottom Tree Sunbreaker would sometimes only apply the damage from the bonus damage itself, and not the melee plus bonus damage. So that's probably what's happening. But yeah, that's a weird thing. Behemoth still hasn't been nerfed for whatever reason. That's overpowered in PvP. Yeah, Hunter is also overpowered. I'm not trying to play favorites. Hunter is also overpowered in PvP, and we just talked about why it shouldn't have been buffed. Weapon-wise in Crucible, I think everything works. 120s are obviously dominant, right?
Yep.
I think I can use whatever I want in PvP and still succeed. I don't know about you.
I haven't played a ton of PvP. What I did, I was basically just trying to use the grenade launchers.
Yeah.
At least this year.
Yeah, I think weapon balance PvP is great.
Yeah.
I could say that to an extent to PvE. Like, I enjoy using my Shadow Price, right? That's a precision frame precision frame auto rifle. I enjoy it. I don't like precision frame auto rifles that much. It's enjoyable, but I'm not going to use it in high-end content, right?
Nah.
The only reason I would use the Warmind Cell one is because it spawns Warmind Cells. But even then, I'll probably just use the hand cannon. So yeah, there's a few things in the PvE side that I'm just like, not really feeling it. Submachine guns that are not named Ikelos, don't really feel like using in anything. Even though I earlier in the podcast, I praised the new submachine gun for having overflowing frenzy. I do like it, but I'm not going to bring that into the Nightfall. Because once again, it can't spawn Warmind Cells.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel like everything's decent at least. Everything's at least decent weapon wise.
The new stuff?
Just everything. Just everything. All the archetypes and everything just feels like you could use it and no one would be like, why are you using that? Unless you're trying to sword Taniks, in which case, stop. But other than that, I don't think you could use anything and everyone would have a problem.
Nah.
What is it? Code of the Missile. Code of the Missile is overpowered now, apparently, according to everyone. It's just got a new exotic chest piece, which makes it it's doing more damage than a precision golden gun.
Like, what?
You haven't noticed when we were doing those runs in Nightfall? That guy who was doing Code of the Missile at Valis to Arc?
Yeah.
I don't actually remember what the guy's name is. Valis to Arc's from from a different thing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, he had the chest piece on. It doubles the damage that super does. That was doing more damage than my super. I was running Celestial Nighthawk. That's insane. Do I think it doesn't need to be nerfed? No. It also can do more damage, by the way. I think the person's name is Scrub. They were talking about, like, you can add, while you are using that subclass, you can be wearing, what is it? I can't remember the mod's name, but it's the one that gives you more damage when using a light subclass on things that are affected by stasis. And if someone, like, debuffs them with, like, Tractor Cannon, too, you do, like, 333% damage more than the base Thunder Crash. It's some ridiculous number. It's awesome. So, like, is it broken? Maybe. Do I care? Not really.
I think it's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. I only care about when something's broken when it's, like, a legitimate endgame problem. So, like, I don't think people are going to be, like, throwing themselves at the boss with this super well, in, like, the Grandmaster Nightfall, or they would do it to Taniks on a day one raid. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen, but it is funny that you can do that and everything else. We did the what was it? The Shattered Throne the other day. I almost one shot the boss with Celestial Nighthawk. Does it matter? It's a 2-year-old content. Who cares?
Yeah. Yep.
Which brings us to our miscellaneous things. Because there's not recurring topics, we're not going to talk about it all the time. I guess we could have talked about it during sunsetting, but I think this is more of a one-time thing. Reissued weapons in the dungeon. Or just reissued weapons in general, I guess. The dungeons have relevant gear again. How do you feel about that?
Having relevant gear again?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm not upset like most people are. We're like, my old version of this gun should be able to come up, which I'm like, that defeats the whole purpose of this, of reissuing with new perks. Like, it's not even the same gun at that point. It's got new perks.
Yeah, it's really not. That's the only thing. I like. Yeah, I don't know. Is it really reissuing at that point if it's different? I mean, it has the same name but different perks. Like,
I guarantee you, if the exact same stats were moved over to a different weapon that had a different name and a different look, the Reddit would not give a shit. People wouldn't care. People were like, oh my god, it's a brand new gun, even though it's the exact same stats as this other gun I already have in my vault. Could have the exact same perks too. As long as it looks different, people don't care.
Yeah, I like the idea of having, new loot to older content. That sounds great. Like doing the well in the Dreaming City and the older dungeons and stuff. Yeah.
I really wish they would just do this for the core playlists, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish the core playlist had a set selection. Like, maybe they change it every, like, 2 seasons, right? But, like, let's say the Crucible always has, like, better devils and whatever the hell they have right now, right? And then maybe, like, 2 other guns, right?
Mm.
And the Vanguard has whatever the hell they have right now. And, like, what was an icon? They have, like, Nightshade. If anyone remembers Nightshade.
I do.
And Gambit has all the Gambit weapons. Well, like, and they always exist in that playlist, except every 6 months they have new perks. They are reissued with new perks. And of course, new light caps, but, like, or power caps now. Yeah. Yeah, like, I'm okay with that for the core playlist, because, like, for the core playlist, like, will I be getting my 15th better devils? Yeah, probably. Will it have different perks? Yeah, it'll be different at least.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
For like higher end stuff, though, I think they should still. I just want to preference this for any like higher level stuff. They should definitely still make new content or new stuff, and it would still be nice to have like new stuff in those playlists. But
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't be upset if I wouldn't. Let's say this: in addition to these three roles that these three new guns that have an insane number of roles, I think they each have like 24 perks. Like each column has 12 perks, all of them. In addition to that, there's always the consistent 5 guns or whatever from the vendors. They just keep getting new perks re-rolled every season, every other season, or maybe every year. Whereas like the Nightfall always gets new stuff. Trials always gets new stuff. Iron Banner should always get new stuff. People are complaining that Iron Banner doesn't have any new armor. There are 5 sets of armor on Iron Banner. Just let me grind out those specific things and give me my goddamn ornaments from Season 2. I know I forgot to claim them on my Warlock and Titan, but I have them on my Hunter, so you know I did the quests. Yeah, so.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, new guns in Iron Banner, though. Like, come on. Come on. Give me my shit back. Oh, that reminds me. One thing we did not mention in sunsetting that this absolutely cannot happen because it has happened in Iron Banner. If you're going to bring back a weapon, if you're going to reissue a weapon, it cannot have the exact same perks, and then you cannot bring up the old version. That is bullshit.
Yeah, just like getting rid of it and popping it back in.
I have 2 what are they called? Bite of the Fox. Yeah, I have 2 Bite of the Foxes in my vault right now that are the exact same roll. Snapshot moving target. But one of them has a higher power cap because I got it last season. I got it 2 seasons ago, but still, fuck you. That's dumb. That cannot happen. That is bullshit. I will like be devil's advocate for sunsetting. That's bullshit. I cannot advocate for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other than that, I can't really think of anything other than Charge with Light and Warmind Cell mods are still absurdly hard to come by. Like I hate having to wait for Banshee every week or every day. Be like, is he selling one right now? No. I guess I'll check back tomorrow. Like, just give me a way to get them. What?
When did those first launch? Like the
season of Dawn. So yes, I guess I have no excuse to not have them. However, we didn't have that. We didn't have the armor system we had back then. So originally, armor had a mod socket, right? And it was specific for that season's seasonal mods. So Season of Dawn came with Charge with Light. Only Season of Dawn armor could store Charge with Light. Then came Season of Worthy, which only Season of Worthy armor could store Warmind Cell mods. So I was like, well, eventually this shit's getting sunset anyway, so why would I keep any of this? Why would I care? Why would I grind out endlessly to get this stuff? I'm not going to do that. And then Bungie made the choice to be like, okay, your armor can now socket the season before and the season after mod. To which I was still like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. I was still like, fuck, no, I'm not doing that. And then in Season of Rivals, they're like, okay, any armor can socket any mod from any time, fine. And I was like, son of a bitch. So it was like, basically, I was just like, no, I'm not experimenting with this new mod system, even though I now have enough stuff to experiment with it, and I like it. But I was like, I'm not going to do that if sunsetting's a thing.
Yeah.
Which to sunsetting's detriment. Like, yeah, now I am being Reddit's advocate. But yeah. So, guess my bad. But yeah, they introduced in Season of Dawn, which was a year ago, they introduced Charge with Light, and then after that, they introduced the Warmind Cell, and then after that, they added more Charge with Light mods. And now this season, they have the Well mods, which which I have not experimented with, not because I don't want to, but because we only have 4 of them.
Yeah, I'm waiting to get the what's the one, the weapon one where you can.
I have no idea. I haven't looked at them yet.
It's if you shoot. I should have pulled it up. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's basically if you're using a weapon that has the same element type as you pick up an elemental well, it does something.
Probably gives you bonus weapon damage.
It incentivizes you to run these perks with all of the same element weapon.
Yeah. Which is osmosis would be great for that, but no gun actually. Now that I think about it, yeah, I don't think osmosis has not been reissued in a weapon in a long time. My Dire Promise is about to get a good whole, like, maybe a season's worth of work because it has osmosis on it. Get sunset next season, so I gotta take advantage of it while I can. Yeah, maybe that's why they stopped doing osmosis. Oh, I'm kind of pissed about that. I like osmosis.
I like the new mods though. They seem cool.
I tried running them in the raid. The problem is the only one I cared about in the raid was the one where picking up one give you charge with light. Because I was doing my charge with light builds. But that means you have to have 2 well mods on, and you can't do 2 with the build I was doing. I can only sack 1 slot.
Yeah, I think once we get them all, it'll be good. Because I mean, right now, really the only thing you can do is run the one that when you pick it up, you become charged with light ×2 if it matches your type, which it does drop at the same type of your subclass.
Which I'd rather just run a masterwork weapon and do the orb one.
Yeah, at least right now, until we get the weapon one, because the weapon one seems good.
5, count them 5. Bonus damage, 2-tailed fox rockets. Technically, it's 10 because 2-tailed fox fires 2 rockets at a time. But
the grenade one, I mean, I've been experimenting with the grenade one and like running grenade refreshers, basically like upping your grenades and then just chucking them a bunch.
Problem is, we just don't have enough yet for me to try it. I assume it's the Revelry mechanic. It's the mechanic from the Revelry, basically. So eventually, I will pick it up and try it, but we just need more access. Like maybe next week we'll have ones that'll be like, yeah, I can run these together.
We never really talked about the bow either. We never talked about Tiku's divination.
Oh, we didn't. We skipped over exotics and we did not talk about Tiku's. We spent entirely on.
I mean, we were too excited about the new lever action.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it's so good. That should speak volumes to you about how good the scout is, by the way. That I completely... We mentioned Tiku's earlier, too. I mentioned it. I talked about it. And I just completely was like, who cares? New scout rifle, better.
It is so good. But Tiku's is good as well.
Tiku's is good. Especially with overload rounds right now.
Yes.
Really, with overloads.
Good enough to just be able to go in there and do the damage of a special.
Yeah. It has AoE, it has burst, it has sustain. Well, it has sustain with the catalyst, right? I haven't unlocked the catalyst yet. Well, I have it unlocked, I haven't leveled it yet. But I assume constantly landing drawn arrows constantly does the thing, right?
Yep, it does.
Did I read that right? Okay, yeah. So it has sustain damage. It's good. It's an exotic, right? It needs to be that way. It's not like a gimmick exotic. It's not like Jade Rabbit, right? Which is like it's exotic because it's a 150 that is stable. That's it.
I think it. Both the exotics this season have been good. That's an understatement. They're pretty good. They're really good.
They're fantastic. They're both hits. Last season, I do like Duality. Duality is one of those things where it's just like, man, I really want a shotgun like this. Bungie delivered. Unfortunately, they delivered in a Fellwinter's Lie meta, which fuck that gun. We should have talked about that in the sandbox, but like, fuck Fellwinter's Lie. It's overpowered. It's too much. I'm getting irritated with it. I will say I'm getting irritated with it because it feels like I have 0 outplay for most most of my deaths to it. Like, I can play outside its ranges, but when I get inside those range, which is 9 meters, I feel like I just can't do anything. Especially here on PC, where people just snap like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I cannot think of anything else to say. Other than good start to a season. I'm excited to see where it goes. I hope the state of the game comes out soon.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk about the expansion. Is there much to say on that?
Well,
On Bungie expanding their headquarters, and they're doing an international office too.
I mean,
Much to say?
not particularly, not yet, at least.
I'm excited for the future prospect, for the prospect of the future for Bungie.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll work something out with Rockstar and finally get Oni a proper sequel it deserves.
I mean, at this point, it's all just speculation. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we know there's a new game in the works. That's all we know. We know Matter is a thing that exists. We'll see. Other than that, I can't think of anything. There was nothing in the TWAP, so we're not talking about that. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
No.
All right. Well, with that all said, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Stay cool.